You are a bird with luscious holes. Ah, you have two bird breasts, and I'm looking at them now. Why'd you do that? Why would... Go away. You're lucky you're a beautiful bird. Skip it up and that up. Halo Infinite is a game that was supposed to launch with the Series X. That didn't happen. It's okay. The gameplay they showed of Halo Infinite was disappointing. Gameplay looked good, but from a visual standpoint, it looked like it could have been a remastered 360 game. So, needless to say, 343 Industries and Microsoft decided to delay it. I personally still would not be shocked if it was pushed off into 2022. And hey, if they need the time, that would be okay with me. But as we've kind of heard, things are not too rosy behind the scenes over at 343. And now there's some drama going on with a former employee that is saying now that his words were taken out of context. Now, keep in mind that this man speaks Mandarin, so it had to be translated. And he's saying that what he was saying was not put in context properly. And it was Jason Schreier that reported on it. And according to what I've seen on Reddit and other places, Jason Schreier is blocking people because this guy made a video. I know I'm kind of going all over the place here, but this guy, this former 343 employee, made a video after the articles were made saying, look, it was taken out of context. He kind of stepped things back that he said. Now, we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, this comes from thegamer.com. Someone from Reset Era translated the original video from this former 343 employee. I'm going to read you a little bit from thegamer.com. Then we'll discuss, and then I'm going to read to you what the response video this former employee made, what it said. I don't want to show the video because I'm not sure if this guy would flag it or anything, but needless to say, all the talking points are on Reddit. Both links will be below in the description. If you want to check out more there, you can, and that more the Reddit post I have will have a link to the video from the former 343 employee. Anyway, let's begin. Now, context here, he's talking about how there was crunch at 343 and how the game is not like the magnum opus that people are probably expecting. But anyway, here we go. The team at 343, especially the low-level employees, works very hard, writes Reset Era user Randomo Point, and many of them have experienced working overtime until the early hours of the morning in the past few years. Additionally, the former 343 employee talked about the Disastrous demo from last summer that led to Halo Infinite's extended delay into 2021. He called company executives overly ambitious in wanting to create both a new game engine and a semi-open world game at the same time. This meant that resources were constantly being swapped back and forth as engine defects were discovered and needed to be corrected. He also goes on to say that lots of content was cut from the single player and multiplayer games in order to get the game content complete back in January. This has led to some things I've made over the years that no one will probably ever see, which that's not a big deal. That happens with games and movies all the time. I'm not losing my mind over that. However, the anonymous employee says that he still thinks that Halo Infinite is going to be a great game when it eventually arrives later this year. In fact, I think the finished product will still be great. The story is a big improvement and the gameplay is much richer, though the development cycle is too long. Don't expect it to be an epic-making masterpiece. So, of course, this started a storm of articles being made. And look, I do this for a living too, so I'm talking about it now. Well, anyway, this former 343 employee said that what his words were taken out of context or it wasn't translated properly. I'll talk about how I feel about his response video in a second. Again, link to the Reddit article below if you want to go watch it. And it's in full English too, by the way, so you don't have to worry about translating anything. But this Reddit post kind of has all the bullet points for what he said in the video. I wish I could just show it to you, but I just don't feel comfortable doing so. So it's story time, boys and girls. Anyway, here we go. By the way, this is put up by Reddit user Lucas82. That's the person who put it in their own words. 1. He states, meaning the former 343 employee, he is worried that 343 will take action against him and future employers will see him as a liability because people ran with a couple of out of context sentences. There's a lot to unpack there. There may be damage control. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are like, oh, see, it's not as big of a deal as he was making out. It also seems like he's trying to damage control because he's like, oh, crap, I said too much. Is kind of what I'm seeing too. But anyway, let's continue. I'll hold my hot take until the end. The guy also claims the video was not meant to be a source of Halo news. But what did he expect it to be? He is not a source of Halo news, and nobody should take the former experience of one employee to be representative of the entire studio or where it is now. The video was him reflecting on his time in the gaming industry in general, not specifically about Halo. 3. He says he had a genuinely good experience working at 343, and if it was as bad as the media was portraying it to be, he wouldn't have stayed for 8 years. Number 4, the 343 baggage that was mentioned was simply him knowing that he couldn't work on new IPs at 343, obviously because it's a Halo studio and he wanted to try out something new. 5, he still believes that the game was overly ambitious, but that's just his opinion. He doesn't want people to see the cut content as a negative because every game and project ever has cut content. 6, important. His words on "do not expect a masterpiece" was him saying we live in an age where games get massively hyped up and fans have unrealistic expectations, especially when the game is trying something brand new for the first time in the series. Go into it with an open mind. It can still be a good game. My words, this is the burden 343 has to carry. People are expecting the game to be on par with the original games. 7, his words on the engine being defective is wrong because it's a brand new engine and it still needs updates, as does every new game. Mega important, the crunch. He says this was massively overstated. I don't know if I believe that. There was no constant crunch. People crunch for different reasons, and that was their personal choice. People wanted to go the extra mile. Artists tend to get into the zone and just want to keep going. Working from home was part of this, as it was more difficult to focus with kids running around, doing dinner, etc., so he would often end up working later than usual, which explains the early hours of the morning. If he was constantly crunching, how would he be able to run his 2 art channels he uploads content to? 343 also allowed people to take days off to re-energize. 9, no media outlets that covered the story attempted to reach out to him, and when he reached out to them and tried to explain the situation, no one got back to him. I wonder why that is. Okay, so there's a lot of Halo diehards defending this, saying, see, everyone took it out of context. Everyone took it out of context. Now, I'm not defending Jason Schreier. I've heard before that he's block happy, but on the flip side, I can understand because people have done that to me where they'll spam me and send me the same thing 7,000 times. If you're that annoying, I probably would block you too. I don't know if that's a circumstance. Maybe he just, as soon as someone asks him a question, he may be blocking them. But could it have been that the situation was overstated about this random 343 employee? Possibly. Could it be that it's a guy who maybe said too much and wants to get a job in the industry again, and he's trying to downplay what he said? Absolutely. Now, I'm not saying that's the case. It could very well be that, the video was overstated and what he said originally was just done for clicks, and people put it out there that, Hair on Fire, one of the most highly anticipated games of 2021, drama, don't want to ask questions, just want to get clicks. But I watched the video and he seemed very concerned about the industry blacklisting him, really concerned. And I get it because, look, man, this guy, we're not hiring him. He's sitting there putting out all our dirty laundry. Hell no. No way. And that's the vibe that I got. Maybe you get a different vibe. Maybe maybe everything he said really was overstated. But when I watch this video, I see a dude that's nervous because he put out information that may have pissed off his former employer, and they could call anyone else and be like, yeah, this guy will blab on what's going on behind the scenes. And if you don't want your dirty laundry aired out, don't hire him. So look, here is the thing too. I've watched like the documentary, on 2018's God of War. And that it started off as a mess. Shuhei Yoshida went to go see a build of it, and he was not happy when he walked away from what they did with God of War 2018, which ended up being a masterpiece of a game, but it was very messy. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And is 343 the only 343 Industries, but is 343 the only industry that has crunch? But you think 343 is the only studio that has crunch? No. But do I think this guy was calling them out for some of the bad practices they may be doing, and they're trying to put too much into the game to really get people hyped up for it? Yeah, I'm sure some things were taken out of context and mistranslated, but the way the video seemed and the way he put it out there seemed like, oh, please don't blacklist me. Please don't blacklist me. This could be very bad for my career. Look, dude, at the same time, to this random 343 employee, what did you think was going to happen when you put out information about a game as highly anticipated as Halo Infinite? Like, come on, dude. It's like equivalent is like me talking about my personal life and going into like relationships and stuff like that. People are going to talk about it. It's just human nature, whether it be personal life or something highly anticipated, whether it be a game or a movie or whatever the case may be. You talk about it, it's going to spread like wildfire. Don't tell me you didn't know that. So, look, again, I know that things get blown out of proportion to get clicks, but the vibe I got from this guy is he was more concerned about his career and his future than the fact that he was mad that people took what he said out of proportion. But again, I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's the vibe that I got. Look at the video yourself. Links below in the description in the Reddit link. Tell me what you think. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one. Hey, if you enjoy my content, consider becoming a Review Tech USA member. I'll have a link below in the description. I live stream now on this channel all the time, and it gives you access to cool emoticons to use as well while I live stream. Again, link below in the description. Thank you for your continued support.